Good morning, gardening friends. Today is Tuesday, December 20th, and what I thought I'd do is walk you around the backyard. We are going to have a hard freeze this weekend. It looks like Thursday night's going to be in the 20s, Friday night's going to be in the teens, and Saturday's going to be in the 20s again. So I thought I'd put this little video together, even though it's raining on and off today, just to go through and point out some things you may want to do in your garden. First off, all of these plants I'm going to bring inside because they're not going to last out in the cold. One thing to keep in mind, if you have any watering cans, make sure you empty them because they will burst. These ferns will die back, but they're going to be fine. I will have to take these potted ginger lilies in because well, two things. One, they're expensive pots that they're in, but being that it has been raining the last 2 days, the ground is going to be saturated, so that's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing for plants if they're wet on the outside. I remember seeing years ago citrus farmers that would sprinkle their citrus trees with water so that it would freeze, because keep in mind ice is 32 degrees, so if it's going to be down into the teens, that's a lot warmer than the air temperature. So the plants will be protected a little from any ice on the outside. However, pots, especially like this, that are inside of a little clay tray like that, you risk breaking both the inside pot and the tray, so you want to make sure you empty all your water containers. Usually what I'll do is go ahead and just take that pot off the tray and dump the water out. But these ginger lilies are going to come in. This I'm going to leave out. The herbs are going to be fine. That may or may not make it. However, the roots will live. I am going to go ahead and bring these papyrus in, mainly because the pots were new this year, and I don't want to risk breaking the pots. And I'll also, of course, drain the water and probably flip those little trays or saucers over. This I'll just turn over. The water has already been emptied because I'm trying to keep animals out of the backyard. This plant I'm just going to let go, but I will, like I say, take it off the saucer. That I will empty, however, being that it's metal, it probably would not crack or break. Certainly any citrus that you have that you want to save, you may want to go ahead and pick now. I have friends that are picking all the citrus off the trees, and you can, or just pick off the ones you want to save. And you know, it's a freeze. It's not the end of the world, so don't kill yourself getting ready for it. But you know, do things within reason. I could try to cover this Mexican heather. However, being that it's going to be for 3 nights in a row, it won't make it, and the roots are going to die, so the Mexican heather's gone. The amaryllis are just going to die back to the ground. The bulbs will be fine, and it'll bloom like they usually do in the spring. This plant, I don't know. Iochroma. I'm not real pleased with it. I will probably take some cuttings, and I can always decide later whether or not I want them to be planted back in the yard. Last year, the Iochroma died back to the ground and did come back. However, we didn't have as cold. One night is predicted to be like 15, so we'll just have to wait and see. It'll definitely die back to the ground. Camellias will be fine. The only thing that may be hit on the camellias will be the buds, so you'll lose a few flowers. course, this I need to drain again, even though that's marble. One of the reasons, I guess, it's a baptismal font from some church in Europe. It has a couple of cracks in it, and I've got a feeling that's why they replaced it as a baptismal font. Let's see, up in here, there's not really too much you can do. I have had years early on with my Phoenix canariensis, where in really extended cold periods the entire top dies back. So I don't know, we'll just have to wait and see what happens this year. I don't think it's going to be that cold. It's going to get down into the teens and 20s for the nights, but it's going to warm up above freezing during the days. I think I've already mentioned I will cover this lady palm with fleece. I've got an old quilt, I guess you'd call it, or blanket. And I've decided I am going to take cuttings off of this angel's trumpet. And I can decide at a later date whether or not I want to pot them on, but now's my time to take the cuttings. I'll probably do it tomorrow. It's kind of a nasty, yucky, rainy day today. And I am going to take a few pups off of that bromeliad and try rooting them. I'm not going to bother trying to save the orchids that are growing up the sides of my palm. It seems to be a losing battle. They don't ever really seem to do really well there. And I've just kind of taken the fact that orchids are a bloom and done thing for me. However, I did notice ferns are growing up the trunk. And those are the same ferns that are in the ground underneath. And I'm going to let the ferns grow. There's another one growing on the side. At least that'll give some reason for all those little nooks and crannies there. This will be the last time you see the palm grass. It'll get killed back to the ground. Aspidistras will be fine. In a real cold snap, they might turn yellow, but I think this one, they'll be fine. I'm guessing. These gingers are just going to die back to the ground. That just is the way of the world. You get a cold snap. They may be protected some by the canopy up overhead, but they're definitely going to die back. I'm debating on these ferns. I could bring them in. This is the second year I've had them. But to be truthful, they don't look the best. And is it worth the effort? I could just buy some new next year, but we'll decide tomorrow. Again, pick whatever fruit you want now and let the frost get the rest. Let's see, I have to remember to take these pots off of the trays, the clay saucers, so they don't burst. I will bring this little ceramic pot in because it already has a crack in it, so I don't want it to burst open. The lavenders are in plastic pots, so that's not going to be a problem. Plastic, although some plastic does crack. The most annoying thing I found with the plastic pots, especially the fancy ones, is one, the price, and two is the fact that unlike clay, the finish is just painted on, so with time the finish flakes off and you're left with something that looks like a sponge, only a nasty brown color. So I shy away from plastic pots. Well, at least the old-fashioned foamy plastic. The solid plastic pots are better, but again, they might freeze and crack. But the good news is they're not terribly expensive. And that's about it for the little walk around the backyard and what to winterize, because it's starting to sprinkle again. I wouldn't have been quite as worried about the freeze if it wasn't for these couple of days of rain that we got, but it's nothing to worry about. What's going to happen is going to happen, and we'll make the best of what's left. So have a good day and stay warm. Of course, bring your pets in. Although I'm from up north and pets did stay outside in cold weather. However, they had places to go that we kept warm for them, either in barns or up on the house or front porch or someplace. But certainly down south, bring your plants and pets in. And check on old people like me. Have a good day and stay warm.